Wait until you hear what is now happening in the United Kingdom. Per Keir Starmer's announcement, which they've been working on this for a long time. They think it's perfect timing, that everyone's going to accept it. But a lot of people know there's a complete angle behind this thing, and it has nothing to do, well, this cover story is about safety. Listen to this.
Today is a big moment for our country. This is a big step. Real change for our children and our future. Because today, I can announce that the government will ban access to social media for all children under the age of 6.
So wait a minute, if you're like 60, 70 years old and you hear that, you're like, that's great, damn social media is no good for kids. But here's the thing, how do you think that they're going to enforce this? How do you make sure people are over the age of 16? You need their ID. So now, to access social media, you need to show your ID. So then your activity on social media will be linked to your identification. Does this not sound like what is already happening in China? To use their apps and whatnot, they basically have digital ID. So this is actually a huge, gigantic step in the direction of digital IDing everyone. Because everyone, I mean, especially if you run a business, you do anything on social media that's important, it's not just for mindless scrolling. But even those people, it's the same thing. Imagine how many people got the you-know-what to be able to like travel or go to a restaurant or go to a Blue Jays game or something. So this is absolutely shocking, man. But of course, it's under the guise of safety and whatnot. I don't know if I'm buying their story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and follow.
It's part of a crackdown on fraudsters. The government says £7 billion was lost to benefits fraud last year alone. New powers would also give authorities the ability to withdraw money directly from bank accounts. Our political correspondent Shihab Khan.
Now tell me you heard her right. They could withdraw money from your bank account, provoke your driving licence, which could probably hinder you going to work. If you've got a job, that is. I'm totally against people benefit fraud and stuff. There's too many fucking benefit scroungers in this country as it is. Already gone over that. Even start at fucking MPs as well, because some of them are fucking fraudsters, claiming money left, right and centre when they've actually got no fucking authority to. On us, by the way, £7 billion. I mean, how do you even let that happen? Just think for a minute. Think of just the main bit of this video. Is just, I want you to just remember a few weeks ago when they said driving license is going to be going digital, bank accounts digital, no cash. I'll leave you with that one. Driving license digital, bank accounts digital, digital ID. I don't like that direction, people.
And here we go. We have officially arrived, y'all. UK has finally implemented the push of banning people who are under 16 on social medias. Oh, and this is not going to stop at social media. So I just want to clarify that. Soon enough, if you want to check your weather app, if you want to do this and that or whatever on your phone, this is going to be the way to do it. Now, they wanted to clarify, adults will still be able to use social media by verifying their identities with digital IDs, facial recognition, passports, and credit cards. Who in the blue fuck, excuse my French, please excuse it, but who in the F would want to verify their information in these ways to use a social media app, a social media application? Like, do we hear that right now? Like, say that out loud. They want you to verify your face to use a social media app. They want you to use a passport or a credit card, y'all. Do we see what's happening?
Digital driving licenses will be coming this year. The UK government is launching the gov.uk wallet and app to change how we interact with public services and manage important documents. The wallet will store digital documents like your driving license and veteran card securely on your phone, which means proving your age or drinking rights will be just a tap away. Plus, it will be backed by cutting-edge smartphone security, including facial recognition. The days of forgetting your ID will finally be over. Tag a friend who always forgets their ID to spread the news, and tell us what you think to this in the comments.
Drivers, listen up. Starting this year, you may not need to carry your plastic driver license anymore. The government has announced the gov.uk wallet, a new app that will store a digital version of your license right on your smartphone. But for those who still prefer the old school style, this is going to be optional. The gov.uk wallet is supposed to tap into biometric tools already built into the most modern smartphones. So fingerprint readers, facial recognition, and encrypted storage to keep your digital ID safe and locked down. Some of the advantages are no more digging for my wallet, one less thing to carry, and if I move house, details are updated straight away. Pilot testing kicks off late this year, and if all goes smoothly, we're going to get a full version by 2027. Digital driving license or old school plastic? What do you prefer? Let me know in the comments.
God, no. I really didn't want to be right about this one. So a digital rights group called Foxglove has just obtained meeting minutes from a UK government roundtable where Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, and Palantir were all proposing, surgically implanting chips, like microchips, inside prisoners in order to track their behavior and their location in real time. And here's the thing about all of that. You see, that meeting took place a little over a year ago, and those proposals have been sitting under consideration for that entire year, and nobody knew about it until a few days ago when those minutes were made public. And according to Ministry of Justice sources, none of those proposals have been ruled out. They're all still on the table. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you already know why my face looks like this. Because last year, I published a 7-part investigation called Who TF Is in My Head, and it was about Elon Musk and his company Neuralink, and about the potential for experimentation on incarcerated people, potentially, allegedly, when it comes to testing this technology, allegedly. In fact, I believe it was in part 5 where I covered the direct investors in Neuralink. What is actually being funded here? And more importantly, who's writing the checks? A lot of your investors here are going to be your standard, like Elon evangelists, right? The Valor Equity Partners, get them to that $1 trillion. And then some of your Silicon Valley firms who are getting in before the IPO. But then the list kind of takes a sharp turn. And then you've got Founders Fund, which is Peter Thiel's firm. And many of you, of course, know him as the guy who founded Palantir, which makes surveillance software for U.S. intelligence and military. So, at least it's on brand. Yeah, so 2 of the companies that were in that room proposing to chip prisoners are already financially tied to the most prominent brain chip company on Earth. And the reason I stopped reporting on it last year, I think towards the end of last summer, was because it honestly was just like really heavy material, and it's really dark, and it put me in a bad space mentally.
Shalom, back again with another lesson. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to begin by giving all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Recha Kodash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles and elder bishops who rule well, where I've learned this truth from. I want to say peace and salutations to Archeum, you brothers out there laboring, pushing his word out in all truth and in sincerity, presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, which is reasonable service. I want to say shalom to Akwaf that may be listening, meaning Israelite sisters, and also I want to say shalom to Israelites that are scattered across the 4 corners of the earth. You may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the chosen seed line. Shalom. So if it's still not clear to you by now that the RFID microchip is the mark of the beast, then there is literally no hope for you, because it's clear that the Lord didn't give you the vision to see it. And the more, that you hear about it, and the more that you have these scoffers pushing back, it's more than likely that they're going to fall in with the crowd and end up taking that chip and being destroyed. As you saw from the clips that I played at the start of this video, the digital system is being pushed more so now than ever, right? So you're just hearing about it, especially in the UK. There's a big push for them to get this message out. If you remember, a few months prior, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer tried to, make it mandatory, to say that it's mandatory that everybody gets a digital ID. And then obviously the people made a petition not to do that. And there was millions of people, tens of thousands of people that signed the petition. And then it went quiet all of a sudden. It just went quiet. You didn't really hear too much about it. All the way up until the King of England, King Charles, decided to say, well, yeah, there's going to be a big push in, pushing the digital ID, to incorporate it into society and public services, right? So starting with the head apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, as well as the like-minded brothers out on the highways and hedges, teaching this truth in sincerity, this video is just going to be yet again another reminder of the times that we're in. When you read in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, it covers a lot of prophetic events, and it also focuses on, the end times as well. So to kick this lesson off, I'll start in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and I'll start from the top, verse 1. right? So it reads, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved, right? So the Lord giving Habakkuk the prophecies. That's how the Lord speaks to his prophets, is through the prophecies, right? Now, as watchmen, right, when you read in the book of Ezekiel chapter 3 verse 17, it says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, give them warning from me, roughly paraphrasing, right? So this is the job of the prophets, the watchmen, right? So it's saying, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. Now, the job of a watchman on a tower is to keep a lookout on the horizon for any danger and then warn the people. And that's what the prophets are here to do, is warn the people, give them the understanding of what's getting ready to happen. You know, see what they see in the world through these, you know, events, these reports that we see on the news or on social media, and we filter all of that through the scriptures, and we give the warning to the people so they can prepare themselves, right? Now, as we continue in verse 2, it says, And the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So where it's saying, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, like simply just write what you're seeing. What I'm telling you, the prophecies, write that down in the scriptures, and then people that read it, they can prepare themselves and, you know, do what they need to do to come back to the Lord and be covered by the Lord, right? As we continue on, and this is the point, verse 3, and it reads, For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So where it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, you know, when you had the head apostles and elder bishops saying years ago, decades ago, that there's going to be a time where a digital system gets implemented, the microchip's going to be implemented, all these things. You had a lot of scoffers saying, you know, you keep saying this is going to happen and it doesn't happen, right? You keep saying these things, you know, there's going to be a time where you're not going to be able to buy or sell anything, right? Where is it? You know what I mean? But it says here, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So we weren't at the pinnacle of the end where we are now. Back then, 40 years ago, you know, you didn't see any digital systems or anything like that, really. I mean, they just started, you know, improving the technology with computing and all these other things, right? But now, in the year 2026, you know, in June, you're starting to see these things, right? And again, you still have a lot of scoffers that are Israelites, right? There's one particular, which, you know, I'll just play this clip here.
Give me that. You got it, Isaac? Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 22. When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass. We in June! Ain't no microchips! It's June!
Got rid of cash for an entire month. Didn't use any physical cards, so just digital means. And throughout the experiment, I wanted to push myself and try to find what's the furthest, like, possible extent of this future of payments. And I found a guy who is chipping people in Sweden, and I went over to Sweden and he did it.
We in June! Ain't no microchips! It's June!
Right, so you see, like, and what the irony is about this clip that I just played is that this was in 2016, in June of 2016. Now, we're in June of 2026, 10 years later. And it's speaking louder than ever, right? So the Lord has a very funny sense of humor, because now when you look at this clip, you're thinking, what were you guys thinking? You know? But I'm going to continue reading, right? It says, though it tarry, and tarry just means to delay, though it delays, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And that just goes to show you that these guys had no idea what they were talking about and still don't, right? That's why we say Great Millstone is the home of the 100% truth, you see? Because decades ago that we were saying about this digital system getting, well, not myself, but my elders were saying that this system is coming. It's going to be implemented, and they were right, you see? Now, I'm going to go straight to the point. This is the book of Revelation, because this is where it is basically discussing the digital system, right, which is being implemented now, right, in this time. You see how in the video, you know, they're talking about microchipping the prisoners. This is where it's talking about. So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, prisoners, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. You see? So there's a prophecy right there. You know, you can't deny it. And when it says right hand, because some people will scoff and say, well, I'm left-handed, I'm not going to have it in my right hand. That's not, it's like when it says right hand, it's just saying that your dominant hand. So if you're left-handed, then yes, you'll receive a mark in your left hand, right? If you're right-handed, yes, you'll receive the mark in your right hand. It's talking about your dominant hand. The right hand is usually classified as your dominant hand, right? Because a majority of the world is right-handed, you see? It says, or in their foreheads. So you have the Neuralink, which is being pushed out. China is now selling out their brain chips. Like, this thing is just out here now. It's speaking louder than ever. And if you can't see it, it's because the Lord has blinded you to it, right? So as we continue in verse 17, it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You see? So it's talking about the mark here. Now we're going to open up Blue Letter Bible. I'm going to go to that scripture. Right, so this is Revelation chapter 13, and then you get down here to verse 17. Just look at the word mark. Right, so when you get to the word mark, which is G5480, it's charagma.
Strong's G5480, charagma. Charagma.
Right, so you see, and it says the outline of biblical usage is a stamp, an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or in the right hand as a badge of the followers of the anti-anointed. It says the mark branded upon horses, things carved, sculptured, graven work of idolatrous images. Right, but what we're going to look at, the root word, the etymology of the word charagma, right, and it goes into charax. You see?
Strong's G5482, charax. Charax.
Charax. Right, so it says outline of biblical usage, a pale or stake, a palisade. Now when you look at the word palisade, right, we'll just quickly look in there, right, you see this, right, I think I've gone through this quite a few times, but just look at some images. You know, when you look at this, it's like the edge of a needle. See that? Looks like an edge, the point of a needle, you see? Now when you go to syringe, right, you look at the syringe, got a microchip syringe. You see? This is what they look like here. See? It's just like that palisade that we just looked at. See? So that's what this is referring to here, right? The palisade. It says a palisade or rampart, pales between which earth and stones, trees and timbers are heaped and packed together. But that's not what that's referring. That's not the definition. But this is the definition of the palisade, right? Now, when we go back to verse 17. Right, and it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, one of the clips that I played at the start of this video, it was saying about how, you know, you had people with their driving license, you know, and they're trying to tackle benefit fraud. So now if they catch you, they can literally just take the money directly right out of your account. And they've already said through public services, banking is a public service, right? Right in transportation is a public service. They can basically do what they want. So it would be total control, right? That's why it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? So just to go back here, verse 18, it said, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 666. Now just to go back here, right? We look into the definition of the 603 score and 6, right? This goes into chi, psi, stigma, see?
Strong's G 5516. Chi, Psi, stigma. Chi, Psi, stigma.
You see? So, the outline of biblical usage is 666. So 666, meaning of which is the basis of much vain speculation, right? So this is what they've got down here, but obviously we understand it's the mark of the beast, right? Now, as we continue on, I'm going to go to the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 2. We're going to read in verse 11, right? It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, right? We're not ignorant that this digital system, the digital ID and all these other things is eventually going to evolve into the mark of the beast, where, these ruling class, these elites are trying to enslave the whole entire earth, right? They don't want us to, be delivered. They want to be able to control our movements, control our travel, control everything. They want to be in the seat of the Most High. And this is what they're aiming for. They want that blessing back. But they're not going to get it, right? That's why we have to be vigilant of these things. That's why you have the prophets that are out on the highways and hedges giving you the warning, right? So I'm going to leave with this final scripture in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5. I'm going to go to verse 8. And it says, be sober, be vigilant. For your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Now you have a lot of these false prophets out there, these teachers that don't understand the scriptures, who can't see it. Now are going to lead a lot of people into receiving and accepting this MOTB system, this slavery, right? That's why you have to be sober and very vigilant. It says be sober and be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So they're looking for the spiritually weak. That's who they're looking for, because obviously you can be easily coerced into accepting something that's not good for you, right? I.e. the mark of the beast. Actually, before I end this lesson, I always do this, as a warning, right? Because this is what it says to those that accept the mark of the beast, right? It says Revelation chapter 14 verse 9, and it reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, and you notice there he doesn't specify which hand, so it could be his right hand or his left hand, right? But it's saying in his hand. Verse 10 says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation. Now, indignation, when you look at the definition of that, is a strong feeling of anger or displeasure caused by something perceived as unfair, unjust, or insulting. See? So, the cup of the Lord's righteous anger, right? Says the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation, his righteous anger, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So you're going to be cooked. You're going to receive them nuclear missiles, right? The ICBMs. Verse 11, it says, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Right? So this is the warning to those out there that still on the fence with, whether they should take it or not. The Lord's spoken, and, you shouldn't take it, because if you do, you're going to be destroyed. Right? So I pray that this lesson has been edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Double honors to my elders and apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well, where I've learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to you hopeful elect. And it's on to the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom.